Okay, I found it. Thank you.
Yes, great.
Okay, letting people in.
Good morning.
Good morning. Shall we begin?
I wanted to say the same. John, have at it, and then I will give Anshin a sign.
All right. Good morning. In behalf of Veterans for Peace, I would like to welcome Claude and Sean Thomas. Claude has been a spiritual leader and leader of mindfulness meditation for Veterans for Peace, probably since 2015, where I first met him at the National Convention in San Diego. And since then, I've been following his work as an ordained Buddhist monk. He is also a combat veteran from the Vietnam era and struggled and suffered a great deal with that experience, and has a great deal of insight in providing spiritual guidance and instructions on sitting meditation for veterans with post-traumatic stress and other struggles associated with military service. It's a great honor to introduce Claude and Sean Thomas.
Thank you, John.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What time zone?
West Coast.
We're in the Eastern time zone.
Oh, yeah,
I see.
okay.
I think you're in the
Central.
Panhandle,
Western.
Central.
Yes. So we're all different time zones here? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
By raise of hands, who was here yesterday? One.
Hollis was
Alice, Hollis was here? Oh, yeah, Hollis.
Barry is back.
Oh, yeah, Barry's back. Okay,
We didn't see everyone.
yes. Yeah, it's hard for me when I don't see people. I don't always recognize names.
Yeah. Anyone who would like to be encouraged to turn on their camera, we would be happy.
Yes. So we're gathered together for a period of, yeah, we're gathered together for a period of sitting meditation. Well, let's say sitting. I want to be very clear that sitting in and of itself is not meditation. I also want to be very, very clear that meditation isn't something that can be taught. Meditation is experiential. Meditation and daily life are not two things. Now, sitting is the root form of an active meditation practice. And the reason that sitting is a root form of an active meditation practice is because, one, it introduces us to form, has us paying attention to the details of form, and it invites silence into our life. Say, Hollis, welcome back. Yes. It is critically important to pay attention to the details, the various details of that we move through in the course of a day. And we pay attention to these details because then it shows us how quickly we're distracted, lost in the world of thoughts and ideas. Lost in the world of thoughts and ideas, we're not really present. We can't really hear what the world is telling us. We're always attempting to get the world to conform to our ideas of it, our ideas of it. So sitting, I was thinking about this earlier today, because we had formal sitting online this morning already, 8 a.m. Central Time, 8 to 9. We do every Thursday and Saturday. We do a period of formal sitting online. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central Time, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Central Time. And so we do a period of sitting followed by the meditation practice of recitations. I was thinking about this, that much of the suffering in the world is created by individuals attempting to impose their ideas on it. So how do we listen to what the world is attempting to tell us? The only way we can do that is to let go of our ideas and invite more silence into our life, accepting the reality of not knowing. It's frightening for people. I watched this. A young person falls ill, and immediately the parents look for some external reason why that young person has fallen ill, instead of just dealing with the illness. Blaming this, blaming that, really seeking for that sense of permanence, that solution. Meditation puts us in a place where we have the opportunity to fall through ourselves, so that the world can speak to us, and we can then discover how to live at peace with our unpeacefulness. I'm a combat Vietnam veteran, wounded. I live with the realities of post-traumatic stress, and I drop the D from that. We're not disordered. Post-traumatic stress is a natural, the way we experience the world is a natural consequence of what we experience in our military training or our military service, especially in combat. It just makes sense. We're not disordered. Now, how to reconcile our relationship with the world post-military. We can't ever get back to where we were. If we do, we're deceiving ourselves. The real thrust is to learn how to live at peace with this unpeacefulness. I have what's technically defined as a disturbed sleep pattern. I haven't slept more than 2 hours consecutively in any night since I don't know, I'll just say arbitrarily 66. It might have been 67. I struggled immensely with that because I had the impression that I was supposed to sleep in a certain way for a certain period of time. And if I didn't do that, then something was essentially not okay with me, fundamentally not. It was through this practice of sitting, having a disciplined, sustained, committed sitting practice, first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, and then and seeing how that manifested itself, willing to carry that into everything I do all day long, that at one point I had this incredible awakening. The awakening was so simple. I said, oh, so you don't sleep, now what? And I just laughed. It was the acceptance that this is how I sleep. It's not a disturbed sleep pattern, it's how I sleep. And once I accepted that, then the suffering just sort of melted away. That doesn't mean that there are some nights when, some days that I wished it were different. There's still a lot of manifestations from combat service. Some of them I recognize immediately, some of them are more subtle. There are certain ways in which my life changed as a result of my military training, not necessarily combat service. And to recognize those things. Not everything I experienced in the military was negative, not everything. I had to be willing to see the wholeness of that experience. I've often said, I am neither a good or bad person because of what I did in combat. However, I'm responsible. Now, how do I embrace that responsibility today? How do I live that in my daily life, in the interactions with others, and all my affairs? It is this practice which has supported me to evolve into that awareness, evolve into that space. So when sitting, it's important, really important, to form a solid base of support. I gather most of us must sit in chairs or something else, edge of the bed, edge of our sofa, something elevated. It really doesn't matter when sitting what we sit on. We might sit on a meditation cushion, we might sit on the floor. What is important is to establish that solid base of support. This consists of those three essential points of contact. Now, as most of us now are sitting on something elevated, a chair or something else, then those 3 points of contact become our bottom and our feet. We want our feet to be flat on the floor. To help facilitate this, it's good to sit a bit forward on whatever we're sitting on. If doing that, our feet still don't reach the floor or whatever is underneath our feet, it's important to put something underneath them. Book, magazines, pillow, cushion, something, so that we can get those feet flat. Now, if by chance we're able to sit on a meditation cushion or directly on the floor, then the 3 points of contact are different. They become our bottom and our knees, with our feet folded in front. So we form a triangle or a tripod. If we're sitting on a cushion and we can't sit like that through an extended period of time, then I really strongly suggest or strongly advise you to sit on something elevated, a chair or something else. Now, as we are establishing this solid base of support, we are also cultivating a relationship with our body in space. So to really know our body in space, and listen to it, hear how it communicates to us. I'm amazed at the delicate and subtle interactions that need to take place for this form to exist and to function, even walk. It's like staggering to me. So just to be willing to be aware of that and therefore establish that right relationship with the body that sustains me. So when sitting, we want to notice that our hips are slightly forward, our chin is in a bit. Our ears are aligned with our shoulder, our nose is aligned with our navel. And when sitting, it's important to realize the position of our head, that our head is not leaning forward, our head is not leaning to the left or to the right, nor backward. I notice a lot of people when they sit, their head is forward. Aware of our body and space, we want to make sure that our head is up, our chin is in a bit. And our back is straight. When sitting, in the tradition I'm ordained, we sit with our eyes mostly closed. That's not obligatory. If you want to sit with your eyes closed, by all means do that. Be cautious you don't fall asleep. So, eyes mostly closed, they're closed. Hands. You find a comfortable position for your hands. In the lineage in which I'm ordained, we sit with the back of our left hand into the palm of our right, and then we rest that on our thighs, with our thumb tips nearly touching. Nearly touching because aware of our body and space, our thumbs will communicate that to us if we lose contact with the essential point. They'll touch or in some other way move. That essential point is one breath followed by one breath. So when breathing, we want to breathe into the nose, out through the mouth. When breathing in, we don't want to follow the breath into the body. Rather, we pay attention to the precise point where the breath enters the body. And when breathing out, we don't follow the breath out of the body, but rather pay attention to the precise point where the breath leaves the body. Now, aware of our body and space, when we breathe in, we want to make sure that we don't cut the breath off at the diaphragm, but rather bring the breath down into the abdomen. See, aware of our body and space will know that's happening, because if we're cutting the breath off at the diaphragm, our chest will expand, our shoulders will rise. If we're bringing the breath down into the abdomen, our stomach expands. And when breathing out, it contracts ever so slightly. And as I said before, we don't follow the breath out of the body. Rather, we pay attention to the precise point where the breath leaves the body, breathing out of our mouth. So any questions that you have about sitting, you can direct them to me here. We'll sit for a period of time in silence. And the point of staying connected with the breath, in our efforts to do that, we become acutely conscious how quickly we're distracted from our breath. In fact, our breath is the very essence of existence. It's the very foundation of life. If we are not aware of our breath, if we're not breathing, we're not living. And so to not take our breath for granted, to really pay attention to that breath, every breath, the in-breath, the out-breath, and that we get so easily distracted from that. Is a source of suffering. So we begin this period of sitting with Kenshin waking up the bell, helping it to sing 3 times. First song of the bell, our posture becomes immobile. That means through the period of silent sitting, we don't move. If you find your posture sort of settling into itself, you need to micro-adjust your posture, then please by all means do that. Because we want to sit in a steady, erect, immobile position. The second and third songs of the bell will support us in establishing that gentle, active relation with our breath. We'll sit for 15 minutes, and when we move from sitting to any questions that you might have, Kenshin will wake up the bell, help it to sing twice. First song of the bell, we bring our attention back into the space. Second song of the bell, if you need to move at that point, feel free to move, just not excessively. Would you get the clappers? When we move from sitting to that practice of questions and responses, before we do that, I want to do a recitation. It's a recitation that I do every evening, and that we do every Saturday. No, every Thursday when we sit. I think that's it for now. Breathing in through the nose, paying attention to the precise point where the breath enters the body. I know I'm breathing in. I feel my abdomen expanding. Breathing out, I feel my abdomen contracting. And I don't follow that breath out of the body. I simply pay attention to the precise point where the breath leaves the body. Now I'm going to introduce you to the practice of recitations. Now you're not obligated to do anything here. This is it's called the evening gatha. This is something that we recite, as I mentioned earlier. We recite every Thursday evening, and I recite it every evening. I use clappers with this. It's traditional in Zen practice. However, I will make sure they can be rather sharp. I won't use them sharply. I'll be very gentle with them. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly by and opportunity is lost. Each of us must strive to awaken. Awaken. Take heed. Do not squander this life. Questions? Any question you might have of me about my service, about my practice, about meditation, about anything?
Just walking.
Yeah, Joe.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
I can't see you, Joe. I can only see your ear.
Sorry.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for this wonderful session.
You're welcome.
I have a question about technique. I find myself yawning excessively in the middle of my practice. And as I understand yawning, it's trying to get rid of excessive carbon dioxide. And I'm wondering if there's something I can do to make my exhalations more efficient to get rid of carbon dioxide.
Well, I don't know about that, whether yawning is that or not. I don't know. What I would say is that if you're yawning, just yawn. I would have to know more about the science behind yawning being getting rid of excessive carbon dioxide. I don't know anything about that. It's not something that I've worked. It's the first time I've been asked a question. But if I have to yawn, I just yawn.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Questions? Well, okay, John. And then Art, did you have a question? No, okay.
Yes, you mentioned yesterday the possibility that people can do sitting and meditation and wander into spaces that are dangerous or troublesome. Could you say a little more about that? Give an example, perhaps? What are we to look for there?
I can only articulate a couple of occasions where this has happened. What I will say is that there's no way to predict what that space might be or what it might look like. And that's why it's important to be in the presence of or have connections to an authentic teacher, someone who is in an established generational lineage and really has the best interest of the people around them at heart. I have two examples. One example, and this didn't happen in a retreat. This is somebody who embarked on a practice of meditation without a community and a teacher. They read some books and they started to sit, and the next thing they knew, they initiated a pseudo-psychotic state You know, they had the impression that they could read people's minds. They had the impression that they had all the answers for all the questions in the universe. They experienced those sorts of things. I also had an individual in retreat who had a psychic illness that required medication to stay in right relation with consensus reality. They had stopped taking that before they came to the retreat and didn't inform us. And in the midst of the retreat had a full-blown psychotic episode. An active meditation practice is not something to be toyed with. And it oughtn't to be passed on to people who don't have the experience with it. As I said, I've been living as an ordained monastic for 29 years. Did I get it right this time?
Yep.
Yeah, I got it right this time. I always shortchange it. I always say 25. It's 29 years. And I've actually been practicing, I've been engaged with sitting practice since I was 14. So that would make it now 62 years. I've been engaged with this. But I've been working in an established tradition now for 29 years. I know the kind of spaces that I've moved through. I can tell you in my own instance, at one point I was with a group and with the person I was studying with at the time, and we were sitting. And when the sitting practice concluded and I looked and I sort of looked around the room, I didn't recognize a soul. I knew everyone there, but I didn't recognize anybody. Not a soul. Everything seemed sort of odd and out of place. I needed to get up, I needed to walk outside, and I needed to touch it, something, a tree or a bush or something, to sort of ground myself. It's a powerful business, this meditation business. It's not, we need to sit just to sit. We need to walk just to walk and eat just to eat. If we're sitting to get something, then we're not actually sitting. We're missing the point. Any other questions? Come on, I'm waiting. Give them to me. No. Oh, okay. I don't know. Who do I have there? Alice or Kara?
Yes, I was
Yeah.
wondering,
Yeah,
Okay.
do the apps that are involved and different things on the internet that go into self-meditation, do you have any particular ones you'd recommend or anything to avoid?
Well, I don't know anything about these apps. I don't know if they're, I can't really respond to that question with any kind of accuracy because I don't know anything about them. What I will say though, and I'll come back to the essential point, is that if we're using these things and we're on our own, we don't have connections with a group of like-minded people that is supported by an authentic teacher, I would guess even then you can get yourself into some psychic difficulties. Meditation, sitting practice, inviting more silence into our life, bringing more focus into our life, is not something to be toyed with. It's very, very powerful. And that's why people are really when I go for medical assistance, people are rather shocked because I don't have a list of medications. I'm 76 going on 77. I don't have a list of medications that I'm taking. I take vitamin B12 and vitamin D3. And that really I think it's really a testament to where a disciplined spiritual practice has taken me. It's being conscious of my diet, what I consume, how precepts guide me, and the power of silence and sitting, and how that supports me overall. And I do this just to do it. I don't do it to get all that stuff. What's that mean?
Time to say goodbye.
time to say goodbye? I'm just informed that it's time to say goodbye, or we all turn into pumpkins. I wouldn't want that to happen. So for those of you who have joined today, it's really a pleasure to be here with you. I really appreciate your making the effort to be here and to attend. I also want to let you know, I don't know if this has been passed on. If you want to know more about this practice and about the Zolto Foundation, which,
There have been links placed.
okay, you've been already given that information, so I'll be quiet. I'll just say goodbye. So please hold your seats until I leave the room. And again, pleasure to be with you. John, thank you for the invitation. I hope we have many more opportunities to spend time together. So when I get up off this chair, I'm glad I still can. This sitting practice doesn't end, it just changes form. So what I do is I take this cushion that's on the chair, and I'm really glad it's there, and I rotate it. So I'm not sitting on it the same way twice. And then there's another cushion I have, it's in the back. I don't know why it's there. I never sit on it, but nonetheless, I rotate it and I place it back on the chair. Then facing the chair, I prepare to bow. Bowing is sort of really a part of this tradition. I'm taught to press my palms together, thumb tips touching, resting the thumb tips on the knuckle. Tip of the longest finger parallel with the tip of the nose, not too stiff, not too relaxed, but just precise. I face my chair. Oh yes, Japanese. I'm ordained in a Japanese lineage. The name of this position is Gassho. So facing my chair in Gassho, I bow to my chair. Bowing is not an act of subjugation. It's really an expression of connection, of thankfulness. So when I bow to my chair, it's an expression of thankfulness for the support that the chair has given me, and to acknowledge that I'm not separate from the chair. Yes, I know I'm not the chair, but I'm not separate from that chair. Then I turn, I face all of you, and in Gassho I bow to all of you in gratitude for the pleasure to meet you and for the opportunity to spend this time together. Again, we sit on Thursdays and Saturdays. Come join us sometime. Also, we have a center here in the Panhandle of Florida. Come visit us. Oh, one other thing to keep in mind, ever foremost in your mind, is the thing isn't practical, it's not spiritual. Be safe, take care, and I wish you a smooth transition from your Veterans for Peace Conference into whatever's next for all of you. Bye-bye.
Again, thanks Veterans for Peace. Thanks for all you do, everyone who's active. And gotta say it, we need to be the peace we want to see in the world. So let's do it together. Have a good convention day, and another time I look forward to our contact. Bye.
Bye.